It might be wishful thinking, but I would like to think most people have a plan for their money long term. Work hard, spend responsibly, save what's left. And on the surface, that sounds reasonable. The problem is that plan has a ceiling, and inflation makes sure of it. Today we're covering why saving alone will never build real wealth, what actually does, and the one decision that matters more than which asset you pick. Welcome back to Compounding with Callie, where we compound some miles and our money. Here's the uncomfortable truth about money sitting in a savings account. It's losing value every single day. Inflation, which is the slow, steady rise of the cost of everything, averages around 3% a year over long stretches of history. That doesn't sound like much, but run it forward and the numbers are hard to ignore. If you put $100,000 in cash today and leave it untouched for 20 years, its real purchasing power, what it can actually buy, drops to around $55,000. You didn't spend a dollar of it. You didn't make a single bad decision, but nearly half of its value quietly disappeared because everything around it got more expensive while your money stood still. A high-yield savings account helps, but it really keeps up with inflation over long periods. Doing nothing is worth. Neither builds wealth. They just slow the loss at different speeds. The only way to build wealth is to own things that grow faster than inflation, and that means owning assets. An asset is anything you own that puts money back in your pocket over time, or grows in value while you hold it. That could be stocks. When you buy shares in a company, you own a piece of its future earnings. As the business grows, your slice grows with it. It could also be real estate. A rental property generates income every month and typically appreciates over time. You're getting paid to hold it. It could be building a business. If you create something that generates revenue beyond your owned hours, you've built an asset that works without you. It could be less traditional things: art, collectibles, royalties, private equity. The category doesn't matter as much as the underlying principle. You own something, and that something produces or grows value over time. If you have seen other videos on my channel, you know my chosen form of assets is owning stocks. This is what I spend my free time researching and find the most enjoyment out of. The math also just makes sense for me long term. The opposite of an asset is a liability. Something you own that takes money out of your pocket. A car, an expensive gadget, a lifestyle that costs more than it generates. Most people accumulate more liabilities than assets and then wonder why wealth never shows up. That same $100,000 invested in broad index funds, instead, if you held it in cash, at historical average returns of 8% a year, it grows to roughly $466,000 over the same 20 years. Same starting point, completely different outcome. Just because one of them was an asset and one of them wasn't. Here's where most beginners get lost. They look at stocks, real estate, business ownership, and a dozen other options. And instead of picking one, they either spread themselves too thin across all of them, or they spend so long deciding that they never actually start. The honest truth is that asset class matters far less than the commitment to it. Someone who understands real estate deeply and buys and holds properties for decades will build some serious wealth. Someone who consistently buys index funds every month for 30 years will build some serious wealth. Someone who builds a business they understand and reinvests the profits will build some serious wealth. What they all have in common isn't the vehicle. It's the conviction to stay in it long enough for it to work. Every asset class has years that look terrible. Every asset class has stretches where it feels like the wrong choice. The people who build wealth are the ones who pick something they understand well enough to hold through those stretches without flinching. So the question isn't which asset is best. The question is which one do you understand well enough and believe in enough to own for the next decade without second guessing it every time the news turns negative. Saving money is a habit worth having, but saving alone is a slow loss to inflation, not a path to wealth. Wealth comes from ownership, from buying things that grow, generate income, and compound in value over time while you stay patient enough to let them. Pick your asset, understand it, buy it consistently, and hold it longer than it feels comfortable. That's the whole game. Thanks for tuning in. Same pace next time. Keep compounding.